Welcome back, everyone, to the Information Podcast. My name is Gabriel Campos. I'm one of your hosts. And today's episode, we're going to be back at the men's rally in the Diocese of Palm Beach in part 2 of this episode in our interviews that we had with our guests. And so today, we're going to be interviewing Jim Manhardt as well as Dion. So it's going to be great conversations with them. I hope you enjoy it. God bless. Welcome back, everyone. We're in the men's rally in the Diocese of Palm Beach. I have here Jim Manhardt. I'm going to let him sort of explain who he is, give a little backstory of him and what he does and how he's involved with the men's rally here. So, Jim, good to have you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yeah.
Well, the Catholic Men for Jesus men's rally actually started in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Florida. So we did it in a bunch of years in New Jersey, and then I moved to Florida and kind of had a talk with myself and said, well, you know how to do this. Why don't you try to get it going in Florida? So this is our 24th year.
Wow.
24 years in a row we've had men's rallies here. So today is a great day for Catholic men.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves Father Mike Schmitz. And we've had other great speakers, so we've got over 1,300 men here today.
That is amazing.
And I will tell you that when we started this thing 24 years ago, it was in the gymnasium of Cardinal Newman High School.
Wow.
And the very first year, we had 50 guys.
You've grown quite a bit.
50 guys. And it was actually, I hate to bring up anything negative, but the first rally was 2 weeks after Bishop O'Connell resigned over sexual stuff from many, many years ago. So we had 50 guys.
Wow.
And here we got over 1,300 guys.
That's amazing.
And there's two priests. There's two wonderful priests that I want to acknowledge. Monsignor Tom Skindaleski and Father Alfredo Hernandez.
Oh, yeah, our rector.
Yeah, because in the very beginning days, 24 years ago, those two priests were so encouraging, supportive, heard confessions, and just basically caused me to hang in there, with it. So I really believe that if it weren't for those two terrific priests, we may not be here today.
Wow, that is amazing. I got to thank Father later, then. This is amazing. I mean, for the diocese to have this.
Yes.
So you mentioned that it started in New Jersey.
Yes.
And so has it been 24 years, including New Jersey, or just Florida?
24 years in Florida and maybe 7 or 8 years in New Jersey before that.
Wow. So then what sort of stirred up in your heart or in your prayer to sort of bring this to life, so bring this whole movement? And
in my work life, I had a bunch of life insurance salesmen working for me, and I basically became Father Confessor to those guys. And they knew how to sell life insurance, but they didn't know how to live their life.
Wow.
Yeah. And really that was the root of it. And got permission from our bishop in Trenton, New Jersey Diocese to get started, and we did. And actually, in our very first event, our very first rally in New Jersey, we got 1,100 men to come.
Wow.
Which was absolutely incredible. Nothing like this ever happened there before.
Yeah.
The bishop, God bless his soul, he's now gone to the Lord. He didn't like the name Catholic Men for Jesus. He didn't. He asked me a million questions, but ultimately he said yes, because I told him I'm not going to do this without your blessing.
Yeah.
And the blessing didn't come quickly, but it came. So and all these years later, we're very fortunate. One of the things that has been very encouraging for me personally is hearing all the stories after the rally is over. that this guy went to confession for the first time in 40 years. And, stories like that, marriages getting reconciled. So, there's this, we're all men. We need things to help us keep going.
Yeah.
And these kind of things have helped me keep going.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And we've been very blessed over the years with a tremendous array of speakers, who have come here. Pretty much, if I look back over 24 years, it's basically a who's who of Catholic speakers, and so all good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's very encouraging and very gratifying to look around the church and see, I don't know how many guys standing up, maybe lots of guys standing because there's no seat.
Yeah, there's so many guys here.
I thought we would have to ask the kids to sit on the floor,
That are on the floor.
But so anyway, it's a great day for Catholic men. Bishop Arbrito has said to me any number of times, he said, Jim, it's the best day of the year for me.
Wow.
And I said, Bishop, that's because you're with women all the time. And
he can be himself now with us.
He's here today. God bless him. Bishop Arbrito has been of tremendous support to this event over the years. There were twice since he's been the bishop, he has not been with us. 2 years only. One is he had brain surgery.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good excuse. And the second time,
acceptable. It's acceptable.
He called me up on the night before. He said, Jim, I'm sick. I can't get out of bed. And he missed that time. Other than that, he's here with a smile on his face. The guys love to see him. Love to rub elbows with the bishop, and thankfully the bishop really loves being here.
Yeah. I remember you had mentioned just now how sort of the testimonies that come out of the rally, whether it's someone who has gone to confession for 40 years or how a marriage has been sort of consoled and sort of, reignited in a way. That sort of brings me back to my own ministry before seminary and just seeing the parish and the different ministries that we have, whether that's Emmaus, where then really, families do stay together and kind of rediscover their faith between each other, or just the youth and young adult ministries and seeing the kids truly find Christ in their life and come to the faith, whether it's through confession or a sacrament. How has that sort of come to life every year, sort of seeing it grow, not only in virtue, but also grow in terms of the numbers? Like, how have you seen that work in your life in terms of like, I'm part of this, like in a way where I'm a catalyst in this movement. I'm bringing people to Christ. I mean, I'm sure that's a big weight to sort of carry, but such a blessing and such a grace at the same time. And knowing us in seminary, God willing, we become priests and we're able to then give sacraments and kind of be those instruments, those vehicles of grace. How have you sort of taken on that role of being that catalyst for others and saying like, hey, we're going to provide confession, mass, adoration, all of this for so many men? I mean, it's a grace. It's amazing.
It is a grace. It's a blessing from God, an opportunity to be a servant. So I was in church the other day. I was at Mass a couple of days ago, and I was a little bit uptight. There's a million details, with an event such as this, and one of them was we were trying to offer free tickets to students in high schools, and they were not jumping at the opportunity to come here, and somehow that bothered me. And just some other details about it. The church can only hold so many people, and we had more people who wanted to come, who could come.
Yeah.
So that's not a good feeling. You want everybody to come,
Of course. Yeah.
And then I was at Mass, and I heard a voice say to me, "I've got this. Don't worry. I've got this.
Wow.
Do the details that you need to do, but don't focus on the details. Focus on me." And obviously that was the Lord speaking to me.
Yeah.
So I'm relaxed. I'm very, very
It's
much
your church, not mine. You got it under control.
Yeah, he's got this, and thankfully there's so many men who want to help with all the details, for this. So in the beginning, wasn't that way. I had to do a lot of things that I don't have to do now. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to the Lord for putting this whole together. All the men whose lives are going to change as a result of this. We just heard a great young man, Nathan Crankfield, give a talk about seeking excellence, in our lives and being saints.
Oh yeah.
I didn't, a year ago, I never heard the name Nathan Crankfield in my life, but I got a phone call from Father Jonathan Meyer, who was our speaker last year, our main
recommended him
last year, and he called me up and he recommended Nathan to me, and that was enough for me because I have such respect for Father Meyer. And I met Nathan last night and he gave his talk this morning, and he's a terrific young man, 31 years old, little baby and a baby coming, and just a tremendous guy. So it's good. God's good to us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just before our talk right now, I had Father Mike Schmitz on the podcast, and we were talking about the young men sort of coming into the faith, like it really just in numbers, coming into finding this resurgence, right? They're sort of coming in waves now, really finding their identity in the faith. And it's something beautiful. It's something that honestly, I think we've sort of been lacking a little bit, especially in the youth, and seeing it now grow more and more, especially with the college students. I mean, there's only high hopes for even more numbers for the years to come, for them to sort of congregate here, for the men who are attending the universities around here. How is there any things in place to sort of reach out to universities or the high school campuses?
That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back when I was a young kid, I was doing other things too, So I can't get too upset about high school kids who don't want to come here on a Saturday, or even men who want to play golf or have a honeydew list, to do. I understand that, but I also understand that there's no better place for them to be than right here.
Yeah.
Because I very much believe the Lord is present among us here.
Oh, of course.
And people will be inspired to grow closer to the Lord.
Oh, yeah.
And in the final analysis, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And Nathan and Dion, who, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Dion.
Oh, yeah.
Who, by the way, 24 years ago when we had our first men's rally in the gym of Cardinal Newman High School, and 50 guys were there, Dion was the speaker.
Wow.
24 years ago. And here he is 24 years later, coming there. So it's all good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much fruit and blessings that's come out of this.
Yeah.
Actually, Dion, when we were setting up and kind of waiting here, he walked in, took out his guitar, started playing. I was like, oh, great. This is awesome.
And God bless Dion. He's 85 years old now.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, he came in and started playing guitar. And he's like, I apologize, my fingers are not there. I'm like, it was great.
Right?
Yeah. Well, Jim, I mean, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. I mean, I know this is busy here.
Yeah.
So thank you again for taking your time.
And God bless you guys. You're the future of the church.
Yeah.
So, I've talked with Father Alfredo many times. I said, get your seminarians to come here. We want everybody to come in. This is the future of the church, and we love you guys.
Yeah. Well, likewise. Well, no, what our whole goal and dream is to serve the people of God.
Yeah.
So twofold are here.
You're doing it.
Yeah. Thank you again.
God
bless. Welcome once again to the men's rally here in the Diocese of Palm Beach. I have here Adam and Dion with us. I'm going to let them sort of introduce themselves a little more than just their names. We're going to focus here a little bit on their story, but also this book here. But I'll let them sort of explain that. Again, thank you again for joining us. Thank you again for taking the time to be with us, to record with us. So
it's a joy. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dion, if you would like to start, sort of introduce yourself, who you are. I'm sure people will know, but yeah,
I'm not sure.
People might know. Okay.
My name's Dion. I was born in Bronx, New York City. I'm a songwriter, a musician. had a group way back in the 50s called Dion and the Belmonts.
Yeah.
And I've been around a while and
Been around the block a little bit.
still making music. And I love the church. I love the Lord. And it's just great to be here.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Adam, the Jersey kid, 18 years clean and sober. And
Thanks for God.
yeah,
Man.
and from my sobriety and my recovery was led into the faith, but also truly introduced to my mentor. And, Dion is, Dion's like a spiritual father to me, and really somebody that shows me how to walk the path, truly shows me how to walk the path. And over the years together, he would teach me and feed my mind, and we would share, and we'd have these conversations. And one day I really was just lit up, and I just said, I really wish everybody we know could just hear these stories.
Yeah.
And from that small sentence sparked this idea by D's like, well, why don't we start, just writing them down a little bit? Maybe something. And we just kept going at it one day at a time. And 4 years later, we have a book.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 60 stories, and we're just reflecting on events in our lives and drawing some meaning out of it, and some life lessons, and how we negotiated some relationships, in at different times, different ways, because some of them get complicated, some of them are very joy-filled, you know what I'm saying? So, but I think like what the book is truly about is where you actually see your faith, where you actually see your belief system, or your recovery if you're in AA, or just your philosophy on life. Your philosophy is like perfectly designed to get the results you're getting. So what we did was, it's like these stories are how you see your belief system. You see them in relationships, not talking about it. You see your belief system playing out in relationships with your wife, your daughters, my daughters, your friends, your co-workers, So it's full of substance, but it's very entertaining.
Yeah. I think it's so profound, kind of finding that with the relationships, because in a way you can sort of see it as a sort of this mirrored view of our relationship with the Father, right? Or our relationship with Christ, with our God, and seeing how we reflect our own sort of our passions, our desires, our faults, everything of who we are to the other, that sort of imitates what our relationship is to the Father. And so really kind of seeing that, purifying that, allowing us to truly be ourselves in the whole and pure sense of who Christ made us to be, or in the image of him. It's sort of beautiful knowing that those relationships really do sort of imitate that of the Father.
Absolutely. We have a lot of stories
Oh, yeah.
that echo what he's saying,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Just
for me personally, I could say to find that relationship, I personally, and I think there's a lot of people like me, I had to emulate somebody that had done it before me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not somebody that can read scripture, be it, the Old Testament or the New, and just find my, I actually had to have somebody that walks the walk to actually see how you implement that in your life. And that's truly mentorship, because you get the secret sauce. You really do.
Oh, yeah. So then how did this sort of relationship come to be and really kind of like begin?
Well, this guy,
That is good.
I'm going back maybe, well, when you were 12 years old.
Yeah.
I was doing some concerts, and Sister Immaculata at St. Joan of Arc's Church in Boca, asked me to come over and do a little concert. So I brought the guitar and some tracks and trying to entertain the kids. He was 12 years old, very precocious kid, a lot of questions, and all that. And then later on, I remembered him. He come into AA, when he was 30 years old. So that was, and then for 20 years or 18 years, we were at meetings, and we'd leave, go have lunch, and discuss what we heard, or discuss what's in the book, or what put it before Christ, and say, hey, what, how does this come together here? So we started just, it was lunches and dinners over the 18 years, the stories. And like I said, one day he just said, everybody should be here to hear this stuff. So we have a book full of stories after 5 years of documenting what we were talking about. Sometimes we put the voice memo on or recreate the story. But they were all, like I say, very entertaining. And they started to amaze me because they jump out in your life, some events. Some events really jump out, healings and relationships that surprise you, and some are very difficult, and how you navigate through it, and learn something. And it's all in there. It was fun doing. It was like,
What are some of the names in this book? You sort of naming them as if, oh yeah, these people. And for us, we're like, oh my gosh.
well, I asked I asked Bishop Barron to write a foreword, and he did. And I kid you not, he makes me sound like St. John of the Cross. I really was going to go out and get a robe or something, But he was so generous with what he wrote. It's hard to receive. I know, I always say the last stage of humility is learning how to receive gracefully. I still don't have it.
Yeah.
But there was a gentleman that spoke before at a rally, and he was saying, it's really easy. Let's say you just go to Mass one time a week, if you're even doing that, or confession one time a year, or just to serve God when it feels good to serve God. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up, and because I think we all understand that human side, the human side. And one of the things that I love about Dion is, especially as I got to learn from him, was not only was it his faith and he's devout to his faith, but you could see it in his relationships with his wife, Susan, with his 3 daughters. But then you go into colorful aspects that, when you're a kid growing up, pop culture means something, you especially nowadays with social media.
Oh, yeah.
And some of these life lessons, it's not just with these people that are so close to him that are not like family to me, but there are stories with Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen and Stevie Van Zandt and Lou Reed. And Dion was always Dion. Dion stayed true, and when you can find somebody like that, because we all have temptation around us.
Oh, yeah.
Like he taught me the 4 substitutes, wealth, pleasure, power, and honor.
Oh, yeah.
And they're coming at you all day long. But he stays true north, to God, to Christ. That this is who he is. And the stories really come to life when you read them or when you hear them in the Audible.
Oh, nice. It's also on Audible.
And this guy's got gifts I didn't know. We're sitting down doing the Audible, and he reads and has the ability to really make the book come alive, But we started using songs. I wrote over 500 songs, so we use a lot of, whether they're the beginning, the intros of songs, or we could lift, with AI in them, you could lift the voice right out and use.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we use there's about 60 songs in the Audible that kind of, we lay a tone before a certain chapter to just set a mood.
Oh, nice.
His idea, then it was sitting there one day. He said, there's a few things in the book, like I inducted Dick Clark. I don't know, you guys are young, so I don't know if you know who Dick Clark was. He had American Bandstand when I grew up. He was a very popular DJ. So I inducted Dick Clark into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So there's a picture of me and Dick Clark and my actual speech. And Lou Reed inducted me into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Stevie Van Zandt inducted me into the American Music Honors. So he says, why don't you call the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and get the actual induction speeches with the band playing and the audience reaction. I'm thinking, you're making me work.
Like I'll double the work.
This is a hard ask. I got to call them and they got to dig through the file. Well, I had them we had them in the studio the next day. They sent
them over. Nice.
just like that. So there's some the Audible is it's different than the book, because he would read a chapter and then I would comment on it sometimes. But there are a few different things in the Audible. We were on a roll. If you ask me, it's the gold standard of Audible, because we just were we were riding a wave. I mean, there's music, there's stories, different voices. It's enjoyable to listen to. This is what we've been hearing too.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun doing it. And if you ask people, any author that went in and actually read his book, they say it's like agony. They say it's like a month of agony to do it.
Of course.
We had a ball.
An absolute ball.
Yeah.
You had a great time.
We just read and ate Snicker bars.
It's a good time.
We had a great We had a great time, man.
That's awesome.
We had a great time. But it's look, even us hanging out right now, this is when I actually get to feel God. I can feel, I think I feel it through connection.
Yeah.
And you can feel, Dion's faith is throughout the book, and you could feel it come alive. You can feel it come alive through the Audible and when you read the book.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you said it right now, how Dion just throughout his life has been very much just transparent with his faith, just heading true north. I mean, just very much understanding his identity within his faith. And I think that in itself is a huge blessing, but also just a witness for all to follow. Because even like us in the seminary, and I can speak for myself, where it's difficult at times to sort of be that transparent and being that sort of vulnerable with your faith, especially before entering seminary. I mean, I was two-faced in the terms of within the church, I was faithful, I was Catholic. Then outside with some of my friends, I was very much just Gabriel. I was different.
Yeah, join the club.
And so, I mean, it's still taking time to really kind of bring those two worlds together. And obviously just throughout my time, a couple of years before seminary and then throughout seminary, that has sort of been able to sort of come together. But it really is a journey of vulnerability. So I don't know if any of you can kind of speak on that, on just vulnerability and being able to say, you know what, I'm going to put my walls down. I'm going to be able to sort of be free in myself and just be me.
Yeah. For me, I love open people.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to hide because, well, I learned it in AA. We take inventory. I didn't even know what that was. I think St. Augustine invented the autobiography, looking at yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Just revealing what he saw, and Bruce Springsteen wrote a song called Everybody's Got a Hungry Heart, which I thought, our heart is hungry from God. St. Augustine said, our hearts are restless until we come to rest in God alone.
Wow.
So for me, he's saying I'm always north, but I don't have a choice. I mean, where can I go? I mean, this is a joy-filled life for me. It's exciting. It's it excites me. The other thing, I don't, whatever it is, been there. I've done that. It leaves you nowhere. It's just, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I found a privileged way to live. And, what's interesting to me is when I was 15, walking past Mount Carmel Catholic Church, and Monsignor Pedernicone would stand out on the sidewalk, and he'd say, "Yo, Dion, come over here. What's this movie, Rebel Without a Cause?" And I'd say, "Monsignor, that's a James Dean movie. He's a cool guy. That's a cool movie, Monsignor." And he'd say, "Yeah, but why rebel without a cause? Rebel for the truth, Dion. Then you got something." Wow. Now, when he called me over, all my friends would run.
Wow.
The thing is that I've always leaned in and wanted to know what he was talking about, because he'd say, "What makes a man happy?" And I'd say, "If I could get a date with Susan, she moved down from Vermont, Monsignor, she's a righteous fox. This girl, I mean, if I could get a Ford Thunderbird with black leather bucket seats and wire chrome wheels, Monsignor, if I could get a Gibson, jumbo, the Elvis Presley guitar, the J200, Monsignor, if I can get a hit record, I'd be a happy guy." No, Dion, the virtuous man is a happy man. Oh, thanks, Monsignor.
I'll see you later, Monsignor.
Yeah, what was that? What's a happy man? What is that? And they teach me about virtue. It's a habitual and firm disposition to do the good. But why I'm bringing up that story is, I don't know what this is, the idea that I leaned in and everybody ran. He went into a treatment center and wrote a book called Moraholic, or Lots of Holic.
Yeah, Lots of Holic.
And the 30 guys that he was in that treatment center all died when they dispersed, when they graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read his book and saw that, I said, "Come on, Adams. Maybe one of them moved away to Missouri or something, or they can't find." No, he said, they all died, Dion.
Wow.
He said, "We had a reunion. These guys died." And I said, so like what? That's the grace of God. Like God played, because I'm not that smart to want to always lean in and go that way and, walk towards the light, and always want to reach higher ground, I guess I don't want to die, miserably the way I've seen people go down drinking and drugging. They're not here. I could go through my friends, but to me, it's like it's the grace of God. It's a touch of grace, because that's the only thing I could do is just be grateful for it, that I leaned in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I totally get that, what he's saying, that mask you were talking about, because that's how I lived all the way up before I got sober.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There was two Adams, and maybe even three. You know what I mean? I had different hats for different times. There was Dad Adam, there was Husband Adam, there was Adam that ran the family business, then there was Muscle Adam and Handsome Adam. And, I put on a show for whoever audience I was in front of. And, in the 12 steps, we have a fifth step, which we start taking these masks off, and we start admitting our faults and our defects of character and our sins, not just to another man, but to God, himself. And when I got to see Dion share with me his vulnerabilities, or where he felt he could improve, or where he felt, I'm being tempted or tested here, that made me feel safe. I'm like, okay, so if these things happen to him, and believe it or not, those conversations are what brought me into the beauty of I need to go deeper and brought me into the faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you see somebody truly walking that path.
Wow.
It's a funny thing. I had a mentor who I loved very much. He was a wordsmith, and he could wax eloquently at a meeting. I mean, it was like E.F. Hutton speaking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody would just, right?
Yeah, Ben.
When Ben talked, the room got quiet. And I had another guy who was just a street guy and very honest, and he says, you know, Ben thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's not. And I started looking at Ben. This story's not in the book, and most of the stuff we're talking about is not in the book. But I started looking at him, and I started thinking, he's so wired, like tight as a drum. You know, and he wants to be the smartest guy in the room. And, you know, we're insecure, so we overcompensate, and everybody does it in a different way.
Yes.
Well, he was doing it as he found out he was smart, and he wanted people to know that. And he needed people to know that. So I started seeing that, you know, because when you have the eyes of Jesus, like you know what he's doing in your life. I mean, I've been taken that, and you'd think I would get aggravated about it, but it taught me more about myself than anything. It's incredible. But I start looking at my sponsor, Ben, and I was thinking, you know, if he would only say to the room, the whole room, I found out I was very smart when I was young, and I wanted you to know that. And I needed you to know that. And I've been trying to impress people all my life. That's me, too. I've been doing that all my... But once you admit it, it's like you're free. It doesn't have the importance it had, you know? And you could still be smart. It's not going to go away. You know what I mean? But you get free. You don't have to be in bondage to it, you know?
So the way he speaks, you have to excuse me. I need caffeine. He'll definitely know, but maybe you guys would know. There's a book. Was it 4-story?
Oh, so yeah, you mean Thomas Martin?
Thomas Martin. Okay, 7-story man. So he had on my journey. He had me read that book, and there's a reason I'm bringing that up. And also Mother Teresa's book.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and if you read that, 80% of that book, of both books, are their inner dialogue, right? With it, and the whole time, the gentleman's saying to himself, "What am I doing? How am I doing this? I don't even know. Do I fully even believe it?" And Mother Teresa was in doubt. I thought she was like walking on water. She called from God.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to go to Calcutta. 80% of the book is like, are you ever going to show yourself to me again? Am I doing this? And one of the reasons he had me read those books is like the challenge and the test of faith.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And when I got to meet Dion, you know, I don't think I could just read that book and just lean in that way. I actually need to physically see what it looks like to grow up and be a man, even when your faith is tested.
Yeah.
You know, and it's challenging. It's really challenging. You know, and there are times where I felt alone, right? And then there's that famous footprints where it's like, you know, well, my Father, why did you leave me? You know, I mean, look at this. There's one set of footsteps in this sand area. He's like, yeah, those were mine. I was carrying you. But I wouldn't even understand all of that stuff for me personally without a mentor. And I know there's a lot of people like me in the world, and we wanted to bring those conversations to life.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful that you sort of brought that not only to the men's rally, but just to so many people. And I'm sure this book, but also just people kind of discovering your stories and kind of discovering like your sort of faith journey, they're going to relate. They're going to find their own sort of identity, their own selves sort of within that, and sort of be able to find comfort, but also that motivation to sort of say to themselves, you know what, this might be the time. There was, yeah.
That's how it happens with all of us, right?
There was, just this past week while we're recording this, there was a Sikh conference. It was a Sikh, is by Focus, which is a Fellowship of Catholic University Students. They hold a really huge conference for essentially young adults, all college students, but it's really open for anybody. And one of the keynotes on a particular night was from Sister Miriam. And there was just one line that really just kind of like hit my heart in just a very, very profound way, in a way that I didn't even know that it was going to hit me. She kind of said, already tearing up, she was like, it's time. It's time. She said it with such a conviction to really believe in those words and say, it's time, you know? And I know a lot of the youth at that moment sort of felt in their hearts, yeah, it is time. It is time to either really take my faith seriously. It's time to truly accept the faith. It's time to say sorry to someone. It's time to say yes to someone. It's such a profound and intimate moment with the Lord through her words that I know that I'm sure there's so many people that are going to find that experience reading the book, hearing these stories, kind of seeing your witness. And it's a beautiful thing to know that we're used as instruments of God in those moments, that we're able to sort of be the, I guess, that puppet. I don't want to kind of say it like that, but really kind of just being the hands and arms and the voice of God to others. So I want to just thank you both for not only just taking the time for us now, but thank you for your yes, right? Thank you for your faith, your witness, your willingness to say, hey, guys, I learned this along the way. Like, you come with us, you know? It's so motivating for us, for the seminarians, and for us to know that we're going to have men just like you two in our parishes. And we're going to know that we have the strength behind us to sort of, hey, let's pull people out of the dirt. Let's bring them up.
You're going to be a great priest, great father.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's so needed.
Yeah.
People, they're hungry, you know. I like hearing, you know what drew me in is hearing like Scott Hahn or Bishop Barron.
Yeah.
Like not just you know, from the pulpit jokes and like light, you know, Catholic light stuff. I wanted to hear who Melchizedek was, you know. Well, where is this guy? You know, where, you know, what did he wear? What is this guy? What did he eat? Who was he married to? You know? So, yeah, I tell you, it's exciting. It's exciting. I know that. It's, I love it.
I don't know why I want to share this, but this is truly who he is, right? So I'm at a lunch. We do this like 4 times a year, but I'm at a lunch with Dion and Father Brian Flanagan, who's here now. You know what I mean? He's here right now.
Was tripping himself. I brought him to a Dylan concert, and he jumped over chairs to get another seat.
So, and Father Brian, I hope he watches this because he knows this is true. And Dion, right? And Dion, who's Dion?
Yeah.
He's sitting here and he wants to talk about Thomas Aquinas. You know what I mean? And he wants to talk about, you know what I mean? He wants to talk about Jesus. Yeah. Oh my God. Right. I mean, because it lights him up. And Father Brian, he's talking about Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, right? And I'm sitting there like this.
You know, the roles have switched. Yeah. I don't know. There's something different here.
Yeah. What's going on?
And when you get 3 men like that talking, I feel free in a time like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you see a legend who means the world to me, but a legend, you know, thirsting for God. You see a man that's devoted his life to God that also wants to replay his youth. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting to have lunch. Yeah.
I just came along the ride and it's great.
Thank you for asking us aboard.
Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you for saying yes for so many different things. Yeah, super glad to have you on this podcast, and honestly, can't wait to see more of the book and just kind of dive in a little bit more to your lives. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We should do this again once you read a couple of the stories.
Oh yeah,
maybe
definitely.
Maybe we could talk about.
Yeah, we'll try.
Oh yeah,
love it.
Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you.
So we'll.
Information, a seminarian-produced podcast from St. Vincent de Paul Regional Seminary with hosts Gabriel Campos and Michael Santos. Follow and subscribe to St. Vincent de Paul Regional Seminary's YouTube channel, updates for future episodes of Season 2. And please visit our website at www.svdp.edu/information-podcast for more information about this podcast and to see all podcast platforms we are available.